for some time, either one or two large-scale facilities. And the discussion had been looking around not only Missouri but elsewhere around the country to say, are there better ways of doing this? By dispersing the populations, not only in terms of just getting closer to where families and support networks were at, closer to the original spot that individual came from, but also is it a better process by which to manage having smaller populations where more work can be done, where things like trauma-informed care and dealing with toxic stress and other issues that all too frequently are part of the process of those individuals getting in the system in the first place could be more adequately dealt with as well. And so this was a process that kept getting built on. The speaker in particular in the assembly was very interested in saying, well, let's take it a step further with the counties. I want to thank him for bringing in all the lawmakers you see here today and a few others that weren't able to join us to say that no, we're going to do this. Let's do this right. Let's not just keep doing this over and over again. And got to the point of something that is rarely seen on a major issue. Sometimes it's on a resolution, there'll be a unanimous vote, sometimes on issues that are very specific, but something this broad and this big. The idea of having every member of the state assembly and then every member of the state senate working together on this. It's one where we spend a lot of time on the phones and in a lot of your offices talking about this. And I'm really appreciative at the end that everybody came together and said, we needed to get this done. I know throughout, not just this process, but long before, the court system, but particularly the chief judge here in Milwaukee County, has been a fierce advocate and has just been a straight shooter to say, we need to do this better, and we're willing to be a partner in that. We want to work with the state and state leaders on that. So, Judge White, really appreciate your leadership and others in the judiciary. And I want to thank a whole lot of other folks beyond just elected officials and staff, but others in the community, not only here in Milwaukee County, but the Counties Association, the Badger State Sheriff's Association, the Police Chief of Police Association, the Sheriffs and Deputy Sheriff's Association. All these different groups came together and said they want to play a role in this. It would have been real easy for some of them to say, oh, no, we've got a tiny little thing, we're objective, we're going to put up a barrier. And instead, they came to the table and said, we want to be a part of the process. So today, we wanted to sign it this week as quickly as we could and not wait another week or two so we can get going forward on this for Wisconsin to take a giant step forward in terms of juvenile justice reform here in the state of Wisconsin. And again, I want to personally thank not only all of you joining, but particularly the lawmakers here who stepped up and really did amazing work in the Senate, the Assembly committees, throughout the larger bodies, and really appreciate the leadership here. So with that, you can talk, got it. My wife would say if your voice is getting, if you're running your voice out, it's probably time to end speaking. So with that, we're going to sign this into law.
Oh, by the way, I went to Columbia, and a gentleman, oh my goodness, I was going to remember his name. He said, "Do you know Robert, Senator?" Senator.
Oh, the elevator.
Robert
Oh,
Voss?
yeah.
And I said, "Speaker Voss, yes, I do know him." He said, "He is a great guy. He has done a lot for, I work for him. Oh my goodness. He has done a lot for a lot of us." And I wrote down his name, and it's in my stuff.
So you were like Columbia, as in like the country?
Institution. No,
Oh, no, no.
Say,
when were you in Columbia?
I just got back from this.
So Columbia.
Yes, Columbia, correct.
I want to thank you all for being here. I was instructed that I have to open and close court. So I want to thank you all of you, for all of the hard work that you've done on behalf of all of us. I was given instruction to close the court and open it.
Okay, what'd you say?
So then we can talk. And I want to thank Robert Slager for the very definite and specific instruction that you gave to Holly Zablewski and me. I want your boss to know that you're awesome. I want to thank the Milwaukee County Sheriff and all of the deputies, Captain Holton and his team. I want to thank all of my colleagues and all of the people who are here today from the press to tell a wonderful story, especially today, the day of new beginnings. And this is a new beginning. It started a long time ago, and a great journey for our state. And what a great day in Wisconsin. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, thank you.
Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2, test, test. Answering questions. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Everybody's sound levels are good. Sounds okay, sounds okay. Everybody's in good shape. Okay. We'll keep it hot. Sound. Levels, levels.
sing a song here. Yeah. I'll say a couple quick things, and you guys can ask questions away about this or anything else. Pleased to be here. Thankful for Chief Judge Maxine White allowing us to be here today, and really for her outspoken support for reform here in the state of Wisconsin, and as well as working with the judiciary here and across the state. Today what we saw is what I think many of us, many people across the state would like to see on a frequent basis, and that is Republicans and Democrats, people in both chambers, people not only from elected office, but from all over the state of Wisconsin, from counties to law enforcement, to judiciary, to lawmakers in both parties working together. This will put in place long-term structural reform within the juvenile justice system to go from where the state has historically been for many decades into either one or two large-scale facilities where serious juvenile offenders are held, to spreading that out throughout the state into smaller facilities that will be closer to the people in conjunction with the counties. Having been a county official working in this building, I know how important that is to make sure that the county and the state are working together. This will also be in connection with not only counties but with tribal governments, and so it's just a really unique opportunity. We wanted to sign this as quickly as possible, so this was the first date open and not wait for another week or two, and again was appreciative of all the lawmakers, not just those here, but a number of others that had joined with them over the past several months and working together, as well as with the counties, the sheriffs, the deputies, and police chiefs from across the state. That will take questions. Well, obviously, even without this legislation, the priority from John Litcher, the Department of Corrections, is to make sure we continue to do things that put in place strong reforms and reinforce the reforms they've done of late, to make sure that at any of our correctional facilities, being Lincoln Hill or anywhere else, that anyone, an offender, staff person, visitors, or others, are always safe, and that's ultimately not only a priority, it's something that continues to need to be updated. But as part of this process, it's looking at taking the next step now is working aggressively with the counties, because this has got to be a vital partnership between county and state government, and making sure we've got the resources to go forward with this plan.
How many facilities do you anticipate in southeastern Wisconsin?
Well, again, the majority of individuals who are in the system right now, if the serious juvenile system, come from southeastern Wisconsin. Actually, the majority come from Milwaukee County. So we'd want the largest numbers to be in and around Milwaukee. Again, those are all things that the state as well as the counties are going to work on. We've had a long and lengthy discussion for more than a year, for example, with County Executive Abley here on this, and he's been helpful in working with this as well. But we want to make sure we do it in a way that provides a strong partnership.
Any idea on the facility up Lincoln Hills? Do you want to turn that into an adult prison?
Yeah, I think it's clear that at least our initial, when we put our proposal out, our intentions were to go forward with that being an adult facility. I think with lawmakers, again, from both parties, the interest would be using that space. It allows us to deal with capacity issues, and it's a spot where it's ideal not only for things like alcohol and drug abuse treatment, but also for those seeking the ability to work and take the skills that they're getting and apply them and potentially into job opportunities. That, as well as looking at other sites that we have across the state, doing more of that going forward.
Workers up there, will they be offered jobs elsewhere?
Yeah, the intention was from day one, and I think that's consistent with the improvements the legislature made along the way, was that we believe that everyone who's working there today, everyone who's legitimately working at that facility, will be able to either have an option of working at that facility as it makes a transition to an adult facility, or potentially moving to one of the other juvenile centers across the state.
As far as criticism goes, Youth Justice Milwaukee has just expressed concern, saying that this was rushed. There are some flaws within the legislation. I reached out to them today. They're saying we don't want to repeat past mistakes. That's their concern.
Well, again, I don't think it's a rush. We've looked at this for more than a year. County Executive Abley reached out to us more than a year ago and said they'd like to do one pilot site. We said that's interesting, but when you do that, it would have a ripple effect in all the other counties, both in terms of staffing and cost. And so instead, we looked at this process. A number of the lawmakers that were here today had been working for quite some time a year and a half in the making in terms of legislation, much of which is incorporated in what the final version was at. So even though the process, the final coming together and getting unanimous support came about rather quickly at the tail end, this is not something that just happened out of the blue. A number of lawmakers, our secretaries of both Corrections and Department of Health Services have all been working on this for more than a year.
Governor, political questions, the WMC ad, do you think that should stay on the air, or like the family wants, come off the air? And also, the First Lady's comments at dinner the other night, she talked about how one candidate did not shake hands with your son. Do you know about that? What is it really going on?
In terms of the ad, I haven't seen it, so I don't comment on ads I haven't seen. In terms of my wife, she's a strong woman, like so many women in the state. She can speak for herself.
What about the state treasurer's position, the elimination of that?
Yeah, for years, even when I was in the legislature, Republicans and Democrats for years have said that was an obsolete position, and I'm going to vote yes in eliminating it. As have many lawmakers before. I was in the legislature, advocated for that in both parties. Thanks.